Hey everybody, Technically Jeff here, and today you are joining me for the installation of the Stealth Hitches Trailer Hitch on my Kia EV6 Wind all-wheel drive. Let's do it! So the first thing we're going to want to do is put the car on ramps, that way we have space to work underneath the vehicle. And to do that, the first thing we want to do is obviously put the ramps out, but then we want to put the car into snow mode. Snow mode makes it so that the front and rear tires are powered. And makes it so it can pull up on the ramps fine. So to do that, you go ahead and hold the drive mode button down inside the vehicle, and then this puts it into snow mode, and now we can go ahead and back the car up. Alright, so now that the car is up in the air, I'm going to go ahead and look over the instructions and all the parts that are supplied and the tools that are required, just to make sure I have everything that I need. It does estimate 1 hour for the rack only. I'm just doing that today. I'm not doing the tow portion today. So we'll shoot for an hour and see how we do. So let's go ahead and open up the packaging and take everything out. We have the side brackets here. Spacers. This is the 2-inch receiver. We've got all the nuts and bolts and washers there. This is the latch and block with the keys, and then some extra packaging out of the way. We've got the hitch itself, and this is definitely a beefy unit. Alright, so look at these instructions, very thorough. So the first step is to get underneath the back of the car to remove the gravel guard. They recommend using a 90-degree pick to remove the plastic rivets. If you don't have one handy like me, you can just use a flathead screwdriver. Then you also use a 10mm socket to loosen 3 of the nuts, and then a 14mm socket to loosen the 1 nut. And those are clearly marked, as you can see here, by yellow, green, and red arrows. So one thing I do want to say, the 14mm nut, if there's no pressure pushing down on it, it will not come down. So you got to make sure that there is pressure pulling down on it. That way it pulls it down and comes off. Next up is to use a 10mm socket to remove 2 support brackets that are underneath the car. And we actually discard these brackets and nuts. They won't be used once the hitch is installed. Alright, next up is to retrieve 3 M12 bolts from the bolt bag. Locate the 3 holes on each side of the frame near the rear of the vehicle and screw a bolt into each hole. This will help ensure there's no obstructions in the hole. If it doesn't easily thread, then clean the threads with a thread chaser. Now, one thing to keep in mind, there are 1/2-inch bolts in the bolt bag. The easiest way to tell the difference is the 1/2-inch bolts are shorter. You can also see the threads are different as well. Alright, so I'm going to show you where to put these. It is kind of tight in here, but I'll do my best to get it on camera for you guys. This is where the bolt holes are. And you can just thread them right in. Hopefully yours go in as easy as mine do here. that on both sides. Alright, so I ran into my first snag. The center bolt on the passenger side does not want to thread into the frame, so I need to go get a thread tap. I don't have a M12 by 1.25 thread tap, and apparently a lot of local stores don't either. Luckily I did find a CarQuest Auto Parts ways up the road that's supposed to have one, but just as an FYI, if you do have issues, you might have a hard time finding a thread tap to get it to thread into the frame. So. Alright, so I got the thread tap. I actually had to go to Napa Auto Parts to get it because CarQuest didn't have it, even though they said they did. But I got it. Let's go ahead and get the hole cleaned out. So that step was to clean the threads, make sure everything will go in fine. This next step is where we're actually going to go ahead and attach the side plate and spacer to the outside of the vehicle frame, right where we just did that. So we're going to use those bolts as well as lock washers and flat washers. Another thing I want to note for you guys, so notice the orientation of everything here. We have the 3 bolts across the top, and the bottom piece here, you can see it has the part that kind of goes towards the back of the vehicle right here. The back of the vehicle is this way, so you want to make sure that this is all oriented that way. I just want to note I got the side plate and spacers out, and these are very thick and heavy duty. So the wiring in here is kind of tight that it has to fit around. One thing I found though is you can kind of tuck it behind this stud here, and that helps kind of pull it out of the way so that you can get to the holes for the bolts. Alright, so I got the bracket fit in here. I just have to tighten down that bolt. I got the bolt in the back in, and then I'll have to put the one in the middle in. But it does fit in quite nicely. Alright, so I got the middle bolt in. Now I just want to loosely tighten things. We don't want to tighten it down all the way yet. Next up, we do it on the other side. The good news is it is a mirror of what we just did on the first side. Alright, so I got the bracket in on the passenger side. All 3 bolts are in. I will say the spacer that's on the back, it can be kind of a pain to get it lined up, but what I found was easiest is to get the bolt in the back in, and then you can try to work on getting the other 2 lined up. I did the one in the back, then the one in the front, then the one in the middle. So just a quick tip for you guys. Alright, next up is to put the Stealth Hitch frame in the vehicle. That's the big piece that goes across the vehicle. We're going to raise it between the side plates, the block brackets. These things right here will need to be rotated up when raising into the vehicle, and then we attach the frame to the side plates using the 6 1/2-inch bolts, 1/2-inch lock washers, and 1/2-inch nuts as shown. And then we're going to torque the M12 bolts, the bolts that we did first, to 85 foot-pounds, and then the 1/2-inch bolts and nuts we're going to torque to 100 foot-pounds. Alright, so I'm going to attempt to do this by myself without any help, so we'll see how it goes. Slide it past the tab that was there that was blocking it. And now I'll put a bolt through each side. So we put the bolts in from the outside. Then we do a lock washer on the inside, and then the nut. slide in here. Tighten this real quick by hand. And then I can put the other side in here. So put the bolt in, the lock washer on it, and put on the nut. And there we go. So that's how it will sit. I'll go ahead and put the other bolts and lock washers and nuts on, and then we will tighten everything up. Now real quick, I'll just show you guys how everything looks. I haven't tightened it up all the way yet, but you can see how all the pieces work here and go across. And that other side is just a mirror of this side. Very good design, everything fits very well. Alright, so I'm going to snug them down with the ratchet first, and then I will use the torque wrench. Alright, and now I will tighten the bolts that connect the side plates to the frame with the torque wrench. So I have found that the easiest way to torque this is with the ratchet on one side and the torque wrench on the other, because that allows me to tighten everything down and then I can torque. Alright, next up is for us to install this latch block, which comes with the keys there. This piece fits up inside of the frame and is what all the pieces connect to, the rack receiver as well as the tow kit. So we're just doing the rack receiver right now, so we'll follow those instructions. We just basically set it up in there and install it with the supplied 5-inch bolts and lock nuts. So we do have to torque these to 150 foot-pounds, which is pretty significant, so make sure your torque wrench goes all the way up to 150 pounds. Alright, so this goes in just like this with the holes on top, and the handle goes towards the passenger side. And this just fits right in between here. It is a nice and tight fit there. And then we stick the bolts through the holes. Back one went in easy, but the front one's a little tight here. Just tap it with my wrench a little bit. They are in. Now we go ahead and put the nuts on here and tighten it down. Alright, so next up we're going to use the Dremel to cut out the gravel guard and then a file to kind of smooth out the cut. It says 12 inches by 3 inches, 5/8 of an inch from the back. I want to see if I can make it a little skinnier. Maybe try 8 inches first and see how that goes. The reason for the hole is so that you can reach up in there and get to the components and unlock it and everything like you need to. So I'm going to try 8 inches and we'll kind of go from there. So I actually cut out a piece of cardboard to about the size that I'm looking for, And I'll use that as a template for cutting the gravel guard. Alright, so I got my cutoff wheel, and we will go ahead and get started. Alright, that hole is cut out. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean it up with the file and see how it fits. So next up, we reattach and secure the gravel guard and everything else in reverse order from steps 1 and 2. So I'll go ahead and test fit it with that hole, see how everything works out under here. Alright, so the gravel guard is back on, and it looks like everything's going to fit in here good. I am going to trim back this spot right here, just so that it doesn't block where the accessories fit in there. But otherwise, I think that the smaller hole will work. Alright, so I got that part dremeled out, and it looks like everything's going to fit perfectly here. Let me go ahead and install the 2-inch receiver, and I can show you guys how everything works. So let me take this cap off. And then this is where the key goes to unlock it. It is a very tight fit here, being that I didn't cut it to the full lip, but I'm still able to do that fine. And then on this side over here, I turn the lever clockwise until that does that. This comes down, and now it is locked in the upright position and ready to accept the receiver. So I'll take the receiver, put it straight in. You can hear it lock into place. The lever on the other side is now down. This lock up here, you can push that in, and that locks everything in so it won't come back undone. And it is good to go. This is very sturdy. Does not move even the slightest bit. And it looks great. I'm very pleased with it. I'll go ahead and take it off of these ramps and show you what it looks like on the ground. Alright, so this is what it looks like with the 2-inch receiver installed. Looks great. As you can see, it doesn't touch the rear bumper at all. Fits nicely under there. I'm very pleased with the way it turned out, and I'm excited to set up my bike carrier and cargo carrier and that sort of thing and test it out. But I don't think I could have asked for a better product. Ground clearance, I know some of you guys were curious. Ground clearance is about between 7 and 7.5 inches. Not bad at all. It is up higher than other parts below the car. Obviously, departure angle is going to be impacted some, as it would be with any hitch, but the benefit of the Stealth hitch is that this is able to be removed. And when it is removed, nothing hangs down. Now I know some of you guys wanted to see the ground clearance with my driveway, since it is a little steep coming in, so I'll go ahead and show you guys that. Alright, so this is what it looks like. My front end in the driveway and my rear tires on the side of the road here. This is basically as low as it's going to get at my driveway. And it's a little tighter, but there's still a decent amount of ground clearance underneath the receiver here. About 4 or 5 inches or so. So I'm not worried about it dragging. I don't think you guys should really be worried either. Alright, so just a quick recap. Overall installation time, I'd say hour and a half is pretty realistic if you don't have any issues. If you have issues like I did, you'll have to work through them obviously, but overall it's a pretty simple install and very straightforward. Just taking out the gravel guard, taking out those two support things, and then bolting in the new unit and setting everything up. Again, I cut mine to be, the hole for everything, I cut mine to be about 3 inches by 8 inches, which is smaller than what they recommend as being 3 inches by 12 inches, but I am able to still get my hands in there. It is very tight, but I am able to still get my hands in there, so it is possible to have a smaller opening there. But overall, I'm very pleased with the unit. If you want to purchase the unit for yourself, go to stealthhitches.com. I'll also post a link in the description, and make sure you guys use the promo code FREESHIPJEFF for free shipping. That's FREESHIPJEFF, no spaces, and you get free shipping, which can save you a decent amount considering the trailer hitch is quite heavy. So make sure you guys stay tuned for the follow-up video where I will install the towing kit as well as the wiring harness. And be sure to let me know if there's anything I didn't address, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have and help you guys out. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey, if you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps me out. And follow me on all social media so you can stay up to date with the latest content. Thanks for watching.